Hi Aries, how are you? This is Shooting Stars Tarot. Welcome to your October monthly love reading. All right. If you would like to order a private reading, you can just click on the link below and it brings you to my booking site. It's super easy to get set up. And also, thank you so much for all of your likes and your shares and your subscribes. I'm just really excited about how well my channel's doing, and it's all really due to your support. It's been a really fun and amazing journey, so thank you so much. It's just been too fun. So, all right, October, Aries, you have got some very important and big, everybody does actually, but with respect to love, your transits, planetary transits that I'm going to be talking about in part 2 in the extended reading, they're really going to be impacting your 7th and 8th house of relationships and partnerships. So Venus is there. I'll talk about all of those in part 2. So there's just going to be a lot of really interesting major transits that are going to be in kind of key love houses for you. So stay tuned for those if you're curious on watching those. You can't pay for the reading on your phone. You have to go into desktop mode on your phone. But if you pay for it on a desktop computer, you can then watch it on your phone. So anyway, that's an option if you are interested in part 2 of this reading. Let's go ahead and get started, Aries. Aries, Aries, Aries. And for starters, while I'm shuffling, Jupiter was in your 7th house all of last year. And so even though you may not have been in a very committed relationship, love was coming very easily to you. You're a fire sign, you're a go-getter, you're very optimistic. And so when Jupiter's in your 7th house, it's almost kind of like if you want to get into a relationship or if you want love, you can just go get it. And it comes easily. It's keeping it that kind of becomes the issue, especially with where your planetary alignments were over this past year, really. But I think you're going to really start seeing some major changes starting October with respect to your love life. Major changes. All right, well, let's get started with your love reading. Spirit and universe, what are the messages and advice and guidance that you have for Aries with respect to their love life this October? What are the love messages that Aries need to hear? Advice that they need to hear, guidance that they need with respect to their love life this October. Spirit and universe, what are the messages and advice and guidance for Aries? Messages and advice and guidance for Aries love life this October. All right. Okay. And in part 2, I do a lot of clarification, and I also do a lot of, I do an additional spread. Okay, at the bottom of your deck for October, Aries, you have the 2 of Pentacles reversed. So this is good because you're going to stop juggling. You're kind of getting to a place in your life with respect to love where you do want something solidified and you do want something that is not going to cause uncertainty and imbalance in your life. If you need something, you're wanting something, or you are already starting to get it, something that has either been unbalanced and imbalanced in the past, or you're just kind of stopping that juggling and you're only going after like exactly what you want. And you're not kind of worried about all of the ifs, ands, or buts. You're just going for it. Or you're just excited for this relationship, if it's a newer one, or your current relationship, to kind of get back into balance. Put this down here so you can see it. All right. Well, it's of no surprise, honestly, that your central energy is the Three of Swords and that your first card out of the deck is the Death card, because Jupiter is transiting into your 8th house, which actually compounds to a higher degree than for all the other signs, because the 8th house is the house of Scorpio. This is the card of Scorpio. Jupiter is going into Scorpio, which is your 8th house. So you're having some major culminations, major changes, major solidification, major commitments that are going to be revolving around your love life, sex, love, money, relationships, family, major solidifications. This actually could be a very, I don't want to get lewd or anything, but this actually could be a very sexual month for you, a very sexual transit for you, because Mars is joining, Mars is going to be going into your 7th house. We've got Venus in your 7th house. We've got a full moon in Aries on the 5th. So lots of stuff. I'm going to go into a lot more detail about it. But this is huge for you, Aries, that the Death card, this card of Scorpio, is joining really Jupiter in Scorpio in your 8th house, which is Scorpio. So your love life is going to have some major adjustments. Probably more so if you're Aries rising, but you will still definitely see it if you have Aries sun or moon also. Okay, or Aries Venus. Okay, Three of Swords, central energy. Yes, Aries, major changes lie ahead. Can this mean heartbreak so you can move forward with something else? Yes. Can this mean realizations that will put official endings so you can have an official new beginning? Yes. Major, major changes this month. And you've been setting it up all through September. You've been setting it up. You've been doing the work. You've been focusing on where you need to focus on. And even though things might feel a little awkward, they're definitely not stagnant. And you're feeling the change. You're seeing the change. You're making the change. And here it is. Big and bold. Okay, next card, Two of Cups reversed. Something is off here and it needs to change. It will change. There was definitely in a current or past relationship something that's been on your mind. Definitely there was imbalance. Definitely there was imbalance. And you saw it, you felt it, you knew it. They may or may not have admitted it. They may or may not have cared, but there was definitely imbalance. This is not equal giving and equal receiving of love and emotions. This is maybe like a completely one-sided relationship that you are just completely done with. You're going to go and get the relationship that you want. If you're in a long-term bond, Aries, you're going to make the necessary changes and adjustments, even if it hurts, to rectify the situation and make it better for both of you moving forward. This takes a lot of hard work. This takes communication. This takes trust. This doesn't mean spying and lurking and trying to find out what your partner's doing because they're sneaking behind your back and you know it. No, this takes trust and openness from both parties. There may have to be a temporary walking away or a permanent walking away. You're making this choice because you're feeling this. It's like this rumbling in your gut, in your solar plexus that you kind of can't ignore, and you not kind of can't ignore. You can't ignore it. It's this change that's occurring within you, and you're just going to make it happen for the good or for the worse. There can be temporary heartbreak. I mean, we also have the Fool. We have Five of Cups, deep regret. We have the Two of Swords, making a decision, walking towards the future, having the ability and the energy to put forth work. You're ready to work on something, but only if someone's going to work on it with you. And you kind of have always had this energy, Aries, so I don't know why this is so prominently stated here in this reading. You always have that energy. You're never afraid to work for anything that you want, but you also need to ensure, and this is what was happening here, or what is happening right now, is you realize that this person you're hung up on or in love with or kind of dating, but they won't commit, that type of energy, you're realizing that they are not in it for you. They're in it for themselves. And there is like this kind of hurtful, angry energy here with this reading, but at the same time, you're just kind of ticked because you feel almost like you've already been here, and you feel almost that there's changes that you have wanted to make or have needed to make, and you've been kind of waiting for them to do it too, and they're clearly not. And so a firmer stance has to be made in order to get what you are needing. And I'm not talking about getting what you want because you're being selfish. I'm not talking about, if you do this, then I do this. I'm not talking about a transactional relationship. When we're talking about the realm of love, there is great unselfishness that comes along with that. And with this Six of Pentacles reversed, yes, at times, especially in long-term relationships, yes, of course, sometimes you have to give more than your partner is. Sometimes they're low energy and you have to make up the difference, and vice versa. But when this goes on for long periods of time and you feel in your gut that something is clearly off, despite what they say, right? People say all sorts of things, but their actions speak clearly otherwise. When that is the case, you need to start making adjustments so you can maintain this stability that you want, or get back to it. And if you're an Aries, I do always say this for you. But Aries, if you're the type of energy that you can deal with anything, okay? I'm not talking about low self-esteem and putting up with anything. I'm talking about you can deal with anything as long as you know where you stand. But if you don't know where you stand, that causes great uncertainty and frustration. And you need to know where you stand so you can make educated decisions about how to move forward. With this Justice card here, you need that clarity in order to move forward. So if that clarity needs to come from you leaving, from you vocalizing the fact that there is great imbalance here, and then if they care, they care. If they don't, peace out. Yeah, you're going to make that happen. Great change in October. With Jupiter in your 8th house, moving into your 8th house, with Venus in your 7th house, Mars in your 7th house, it is all love. You've set up your life in a way that it's going well. Everything else in your life is kind of settled except for this love realm. And you've actually kind of had this issue for a while now. Love comes and goes easily, like I said. Especially this last year when Jupiter was in your 7th house. You need love, you just go get it. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about if you want a boyfriend or girlfriend, Aries, you just go get it. And, I'm not saying that you just go get love because you need attention or because you are feeling jilted by a partner and you just go get into a relationship. I'm not talking about that, but you're very open and understanding. And if you want to partner up with somebody and love them and be with them, you can. And it's usually for the long haul with you. And that's where this frustration is coming, Aries, because it is usually for the long haul with you. And then when you put all this energy in and there's a lack of balance, you don't know what to do because you're not understanding why there is a lack of balance. So what I'm really seeing here with September and understanding where your transits are, we have this kind of, there's the Three of Swords, heartbreak, walking away, making a very strong decision. Maybe there could be a third party involved, maybe not, but you're making a very strong decision and you're not worrying about it. You're not seeking information. You're not seeking clarity. You're just like, we've been here before. I can't deal with this anymore. You're not making any adjustments like I've said I really needed, but you're expecting me to make adjustments. So I'm officially not caring about this situation anymore. I care about you as a person. You're a part of my life, but I can't be in this anymore. I need a new start. What's interesting though, Aries, is this Fool. He's walking towards this energy. So you have to be careful that this isn't being done out of spite, because there is negative kind of angry energy here, and there needs to be a change. So when you're making this change, be very conscientious, Aries, of why you're making the change. You need to make sure that you're making the change for you, making the adjustments for you to be honestly happy and not to prove a point, because I do hate to say it, Aries. It's a beautiful thing, but you are ruled by the god of war, Mars, and sometimes this dynamic can take place to prove a point, and that's the wrong way. Okay. And we see that this could be being done out of spite, because we do see this Five of Cups here, again, looking towards the past. So there is great regret here. But the happiness and the balance and the positivity and this major change comes when you turn around and walk towards making a confident decision, a positive decision for you, and move forward, putting effort into work into either another relationship or a relationship with new boundaries, like a new place in the relationship. Because I do realize that this reading has sounded extremely negative, and it's not really meant to be that. It's just a matter of understanding and realizing that there have been major changes going on in your love life. And sometimes it can be extremely unsettling and unsure, but we are being guided and directed to our ultimate happiness, but we have to be willing to choose it. We have to be willing to walk away for our own good. We have to be willing to put our foot down and set boundaries for our own health. It doesn't make that other person bad. It doesn't mean that because they weren't giving you what you wanted, that they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that they weren't for you either. It just means that changes need to be made on both of your parts. Because this clearly shows a very one-sided relationship. This clearly shows you're not concerning yourself with it anymore, but you kind of still are. Because why are you moving off into this oblivious new direction, but it's walking directly towards heartbreak? It's walking directly towards, I don't care, I'm not worrying about it anymore. This needs to be walking in another direction. This leads to this regret. Turn it around, which you eventually will. This is what this is saying. You realize now, you're realizing that, well, that was not smart. This doesn't feel good. So you're moving forward. Now, how does this come into play with respect to where your Mars and your Venus and your Jupiter placement in the house of Scorpio? Scorpio is what? It's a water sign. It's emotional. It's a very fixed water sign. Oddly enough, Scorpio is also ruled by Mars, the god of war. So there can be spite and anger and that stinging of the scorpion. There can be wanting to get even, wanting to prove happiness over something else. But that's the wrong way. Because when you're doing that out of hurt, it's the wrong way. But you're realizing that. You really do realize that. And there very well also, Aries, there very well also may have been some unfairness, but we can't look at the other person or look at that unfairness and then just be upset about it, because there's always two people in the relationship. Sometimes there's three, right? And so we can be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very territorial. Aries can be very territorial, so can Scorpios, but then it's like, you just got to make that decision. There's major change coming ahead. So walk into this direction with gratitude of what you've learned about human behavior, what you've learned about how people actually can be in a negative sense, and still believe that things can be positive and still believe in the positivity of human nature. It's just going to take some realization and some adjustments and changes on your part. And part of that is learning to let go and not even forgive, just move on, because this is not a good dynamic. And whoever this person is for you, we do have a lot of swords here, so there very well could be, we could be dealing with the water sign, we have cups, we could be dealing with Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, possibly earth sign. I'm not picking up on that so much, but I'm saying we because I'm an Aries too, but Aries, you really need to make this about you and less about them and less about what they did or didn't do to you or for you or with you, because you can get caught in that endless loop for too long and you miss beautiful opportunities. So you'll quickly realize that. And I'm kind of preaching to the choir because one, Aries, you are very intuitive because you pull in a lot of that Piscean energy from the end of the zodiac. You pull that in and use it to move forward. So you already will recognize this. You already know in your head, like cognitively, you know, but you still in your heart, in your soul, there is that pain. And there can be that childness like action and reaction to something that can be kind of the immature, wrong approach. Please don't get offended. Please don't get offended by me saying that at all. But there is also this moment where you do that, and then there's this moment where you just let it go and move forward. There's this moment where you let go of any of that uncertainty or questions or imbalance. You just let it go and you move into a much greater place where there is balance and just communication and understanding and clear, solid, honest communication and new love. Maybe it's fleeting, maybe it's not, but you're not really concerning yourself with that right now. What you're really concerning yourself with in October, at least for the first part of October, while these transits are taking place, you're really just concerning yourself with the knowledge and understanding that a major shift needs to take place, and they are not doing it, and so you have to do it. Okay? Let me see what else I can say here. Because look, transformation, walking away, work. Putting your head down, working on something that can actually be real. Putting your head down and working on something that can actually be felt and appreciated and adored. This is a good change. It's a hard change, but it's a good change. Imbalance, moving on, despite why you're still moving on. Work for the purpose of balance. Unfairness, walking away. Yes, it hurts. But this is facing the past. This dark cloud, this rain, it's moving in this direction. This whole thing is moving in this direction. Okay, unfairness, walking away, it sucks. But as soon as you turn around, there's all this positivity and growth right on the other side. Balance. Balance. Fairness. Realness. Real communication. New love. Possibly travel. I don't like to go too deep in the deck, so I'm stopping there. And you know cognitively also there's always good on the other side of bad. It's equal. There's always the same amount of positive and negative energy in anything. So let go of this negative energy and move towards this positive energy. Transformation. Not worrying about it. Not getting stuck in that endless loop. Yes, it hurts. Move forward. Somebody is not reciprocating the love that you're giving them. You walk away. You make a decision to walk forward. Okay, this is all very good stuff. All right, well, I'm going to continue in part 2 with a lot of clarification and a lot more detail into the planetary transits that are happening and occurring, which is major for you. This stuff that's happening in your 8th house, in your 7th house, is very major for you, Aries. So if you're not excited, get excited, because this that you're doing will have long-term benefits. Long-term benefits. 8 of Pentacles turns into 9 of Pentacles. Independence, self-love, self-esteem, happy being single. Maybe you're happy being single for a while. And that ultimately transitions into the 10 of Pentacles, which is financial security, emotional stability, family, growth, solid foundations. So you're walking into the right direction here. You don't deal well with imbalance. You need to know where you stand, good or bad. That's what you need. And if they're not doing it, you're making a decision. If you're in a long-term bond, I'm going to say one more thing before I go into part 2. If you're in a long-term bond, then this is some dynamic that needs to be addressed. There is major transformation that is awaiting you. This doesn't have to mean that you're leaving a marriage or leaving a long-term relationship, but there needs to be a new journey that you both walk on together, or this allowance for them to give you some freedom, or move in this direction, or change work locations, change careers. Like there needs to be some major change that they have to allow and give, because this is a very selfish energy that you've been getting. You're not being selfish. I mean, I guess you could be. I mean, let me read this the other way. You could be being the one that's not being fair here. But I'm reading for you in your love life. And so let's just look at it that way. If you are the one that's being selfish, they're walking away from you, it's going to hurt, and you're going to realize that maybe more work needs to be put into the relationship moving forward, a new relationship. Or you're going to have to work to get them back, to turn these cards around. But just knowing your energy, Aries, I'm not sensing that is the case so much, because there is deep, you don't give your love away to anybody. You don't. You really don't. You have staying power and confidence in the love that you give, and you need it in the love that you receive. You need to know where you stand. So the most important card here, the single most important card here for you is the Death card. Okay. Jupiter is transiting into your 8th house. The 8th house is Scorpio. Death card is Scorpio. Mars is going to be with Venus in the 7th house. Mercury is going to be there. Then they transit into the 8th house. So, so there is this sense of commitment and moving forward, and like death and taxes. Like if you look at Pluto, and I know I haven't talked about Pluto, I'm going to talk about that in part 2, but if you look at that and those energies and Scorpio energy in the 8th house, the 8th house it's like long-term commitments, it's relationships, it's finality, it's family, it is long-term partnerships, and solid, like solidness, solid beginnings, solid endings. So you're right here. You're right on the brink of this. And you've felt it, you've sensed it. You have this internal intuition that you have, because that does pull over from the Pisces energy. And you may not know always what to do with it, but this month you will know exactly what to do with it, and it will lead you in the right direction. Communication will be clear. The sense that what you need to do will be very clear. The action will be there with Mars, and the expansive energy that is the great benefic of Jupiter, it will lead you in the right direction and expand what it is that you're doing. So this is the key. Getting here, this is the key, because it will be expanded upon. But you can't stay here, otherwise you're going to be expanding negativity and frustration and inequality and hurt and pain, and it just will be expanded. So you can't stay here, and you won't. You leave. You make a decision and work on something that can actually be built. All right, Aries, part 2's there if you want to watch it. If not, I will see you in my weeklies. Enjoy your October. Get ready for major, major, major changes in October. All right, Aries? All right. Love you. Bye.